Hello, everyone. I decided to do a quick video about a concert I went to last night from the National Symphony Orchestra at Kennedy Center, and it's been a while since I've done a video about a concert, but this one, I just really enjoyed it, so I thought I'd do a quick video on it. So here's the program, and um, there it is. See that? So what was on the program was the School for Scandal Overture by Samuel Barber, and then Symphony Number Two by Charles Ives. Conducting the National Symphony last night was Hugh Wolff. Um, and then the other piece that was played last night was the Violin Concerto by Mason Bates, and that's kind of the main one I want to talk about. The School for Scandal, though, just as an addition, I did not actually realize that was written according to the program notes here. This was written as a sort of an overture for a play that had been written, I think, in the 18th century. So it's kind of a comedy of scandal, sort of like it was I forget the guy who wrote the play, but maybe I could see it here. But it was sort of a precursor to Oscar Wilde. Oh, Richard Brinsley Sheridan. It was a play of intrigue propelled by conversational tennis matches, and it was kind of like a witty, I think, sparkling kind of dialogue, sort of like an Oscar Wilde play. So I did not realize that the School for Scandal had been written with that particular play in mind, nor did I really realize that play existed. So that was kind of interesting to learn. And then the other cool thing, I guess, in the program about the School for Scandal and Samuel Barber, they had a quote here from Samuel Barber here that I thought was so cool. So he lived from 1910 to 1981, and the School for Scandal was actually written in like 1931 to 33. But in his own words here from Samuel Barber, it says, "I was meant to be a composer and will be, I'm sure. Don't ask me to try to forget this unpleasant thing and go play football, please." And that was a note he wrote to his mom, I think, as a youngster. So I thought that was kind of funny. And then the Charles Ives Symphony Number Two. That was a great addition. It was what they ended the program with last night, and I had never actually heard that live or a recording of it, was not familiar with that at all. And it was kind of cool. I mean, it was a lot more, I think, conservative than the Violin Concerto by Mason Bates, which I'll talk about here in a second. But it was still enjoyable. It was very American, so it had a lot of American themes to it. Songs that like gospel songs, like "Bringing in the Sheaves," I think was one melody I recognized in there, and maybe like "Camptown Races." So some kind of melody of kind of American songs. This was written, though, 100 years ago, like the start of the 20th century, like 1900-ish or so, I think. But about Violin Concerto by Mason Bates, which is really what I wanted to talk about here real quickly. This is a new work. It was composed in 2012, and it was composed by, it was commissioned by the violinist who played it last night, and her name is Anne Akiko Meyers, and she's a well-known violinist, American violinist, and she commissioned this, I think, through the Pittsburgh Symphony back in 2012, and so it's relatively new, but just this, I just wanted to go over the instrumentation because it had so many different sounds and so many cool sounds. Maybe I should say first, though, briefly, that the piece itself is inspired by ancient animals. So the first movement is called Archaeopteryx, the dinosaur bird, and then The second movement is Lake Bed Memories, which is sort of evokes the lake bed where the Archaeopteryx was, the fossil of the Archaeopteryx was eventually found. And then the last movement is called The Rise of Birds. But the instrumentation of this, it's just got a lot. It just had so many unique sounds and so many, it was just such a great sort of auditory experience. So the instrumentation calls for 2 flutes, 1 doubling on piccolo, 2 oboes, 1 doubling on English horn, 2 clarinets, 1 doubling on bass clarinet, 2 bassoons, 1 doubling on contrabassoon, 4 horns, 3 trumpets, 3 trombones, tuba, timpani, 3 percussionists playing bass drum, crash cymbals, the djembe, the African drum, 2 glockenspiels, hi-hat, log drum, marimba, 2 sizzle cymbals, snare drum, 2 suspended cymbals, tam-tam, low tam-tam, tambourine, 24 Thai gongs, 3 Tibetan bells, triangle, and 2 wooden blocks. That's just the percussion. Then harp, celesta, piano strings, and then of course we have the solo violin. So, the piece starts with the movement called Archaeopteryx, and there were so many sounds going on in that, and they were all they were melodic but not melodic, so there was a sort of a contradiction there. And then the lake bed, the middle movement, Memories of the Lake Bed, that sort of, to me, it really evoked a transition. And then the Flight of the Birds really, you really get the sense of the being. I won't really say the Archaeopteryx in the first movement. I'll just say the being, the being that existed in the first movement transcended then through the second movement, and by the third movement was able to really take off and became this new thing, and flew. Because I think that that just talking about it in terms of being an ancient animal really limits it as a piece, because it could really apply to lots of different themes. I think you could say, because I think you really do have this idea of sort of something coming together in the first movement, but it's not quite, settled, or it's not quite there. It's maybe like struggling to become something new. And then the middle one, sort of maybe it's contemplative. It's waterish. It's liquid. So to me, that felt contemplative, and then the third movement was really movement. It was really fluid movement. It was movement. It was more air. It was more. It definitely had the feeling of effortless gliding movement. So it was just a great experience. I'm not, as I've said on other videos, I'm not a musicologist. I'm just the occasional concert going classical music concert going public. So I'm not really an expert. So I'm not really trying to explain the music in those types of musicologist type terms or critical type terms. I'm just wanted to give my experience with it and how much I really felt this piece. And it is available on YouTube. I'll put a link here in the comments. There is a recording of it on YouTube, I noticed, by the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, and the violinist is Anne Akiko Meyers playing that in Detroit. But one thing I would, if you've never heard this piece, one thing I would do is maybe not watch it on YouTube, but instead, if you listen to it through YouTube, maybe put on headphones and don't watch the actual video, but just listen to the music. Maybe turn the computer around or however you're watching YouTube. Because I think that, or for me, my experience, like I listened to it on YouTube, and what I found myself doing is watching the performance. I found myself watching Anne Akiko Meyers, the violinist, the solo violinist, because she's so amazing. But I got caught up in watching her perform the piece rather than listening to the piece. And there is also a recording of it on It was recorded by the London Symphony Orchestra, and that is available on Spotify. And I will put a link to the first movement, Archaeopteryx, in the comments too. And that's another great recording. It hasn't been recorded very much because obviously it's only been around since 2012. And according to the program notes here, it's only been performed about a dozen times around the world. So it's still, pretty new as far as classical music goes. So anyway, that was my experience of it. I did love it. This year I had a subscription to the National Symphony Orchestra, so I didn't see everything, but I had a limited subscription, meaning I had picked certain concerts to go to, and I didn't make videos about all of them. I kind of maybe should have, but I felt like sometimes I didn't have a lot to say, so I didn't make a video on it. But this one I definitely enjoyed. Of all the ones that I've seen this year, this season, I definitely enjoyed it probably most, and a close second was Mahler's Symphony No. 3, which I loved, which I don't think I did a video on that. But anyway, hope you found that somewhat interesting, or maybe not, but I just wanted to kind of throw that out there as a great experience and a wonderful piece to listen to if you are so inclined to listen to this type of music. So until next time, take care. Bye.